Hi, fourth grade, and welcome back. Today we're going to start something new with our westward expansion, and we're going to begin talking about the Transcontinental Railroad. In lesson one today, we're learning about the increase in railroads to move goods and people out west. We're going to know we're successful when we can explain why trains were invented, the benefits of the Transcontinental Railroad, and understand the race between horse versus train to prove that the railroads were significant. Our vocab today, our first word is locomotive. This is an engine that pulls or pushes railroad cars. It can be powered by steam, electricity, or diesel fuel. The next word is continent. This is one of Earth's 7 major areas of land. The continents are Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, and South America. We live in the North America continent. And we will begin by showing a short introduction video to the Transcontinental Railroad.
Is it true that it took 6 years to build the first railroad across the United States? Yes, it took 20,000 workers that long to lay more than 1,000 miles of track. The idea for a transcontinental railroad took hold in the 1850s. Thousands of settlers were heading west. Railroads went only as far as Omaha, Nebraska. From there, it was a long, slow journey by wagon or on foot. There had to be a better way. Planners began mapping a railroad route. Work began in 1863. Central Pacific Railroad crews started laying track in California and worked east. When they reached the Sierra Nevada mountains, they had to tunnel through solid rock. Union Pacific Railroad crews began in Nebraska and worked west. The two railroads were joined at Promontory Summit, Utah on April 9, 1869. Now people and goods could move from coast to coast in just 7 days. Towns sprang up along the railroad route. Because of the railroad, the nation grew richer, more powerful, and more united than ever before.
Okay. So you can see how the Transcontinental Railroad began to really transform America. And it took 6 years to complete the Transcontinental Railroad. In our story today, we're going to find the truth. So which one do you think is true? Is it that the Transcontinental Railroad crossed Native American lands? Or is it that immigrants did not help build the Transcontinental Railroad? We will find out in the book. Chapter 1, Rise of the Rails. In the early 1800s, the only way that people could travel throughout the United States was on foot or by boat or horse. I don't know about you, but that's not the way I would want to have to travel. In 1804, a British inventor built the first steam-powered locomotive. Soon after, the railroad came to the United States. By the end of the 1800s, people could travel from New York to California or across the continent by train. This transcontinental railroad would make travel faster and make many new things possible. So here it says horses pulled barges across a path beside the Erie Canal. And up here it says in the 1830s, a barge was one kind of boat that people could take along the Erie Canal in New York. Horse against train. The Tom Thumb was the first steam locomotive built in America. In 1830, there was a race between the Tom Thumb and a horse named Lightning. Each pulled a wagon full of people. The Tom Thumb was ahead until there was a problem with some of its machinery. In the end, Lightning won, but the Tom Thumb still proved that trains would be very useful in the future. People joked that the Tom Thumb looked like a tea kettle on a track. So at the time, you had to imagine that people were very eerie of the fact of these locomotives and all the time and effort that would be put into them. So they had to prove their worth of what they could end up doing and how they could change America. The Iron Horse. Most of the railroads were in the eastern part of the United States in the 1800s. Because moving supplies and people was easy by train, railroad companies began laying more track and building more trains. The Iron Horse, as people nicknamed the train, was here to stay. And by 1835, there was more than 1,000 miles of railroad tracks in the United States. Our journal question today would include: what happened between the horse against train race? Make sure to go back in the text for details, and I will include it in your seesaw. Good job today, fourth grade. Have a good one.